So sitting next to you, or sitting behind you or front, so sitting next to you, you might be sitting next to a black devil.
States in Psalm chapter 82, verse 6, I have saved ye of gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
This is Elder Raziel with a message from the children of the Elohim. I walked a long journey on the short path where after this mind expands math itself. Came through with the master teacher. Get wealth for what I have to teach you. Not a preacher, the Anunnaki created this creature, fully packed with features. Nuwabian knocking off leeches. Peace of Malachi, Zigor, Noble Jew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, respect and pay homage from the Nuwabian tribe. We hope to see you. We still kicking the flows. All the girls know. Just listen to show so your mind grows toward a genetic explosion. X out whoever was chosen by deception to sell out Negro, the greatest destruction. Without question, knowledge is a weapon. Like Cain, ain't no half stepping to a greater direction. Rit Nalej Radio. This is your host, Mulhuta Hedokayu. And today is the month of Geb, the fourth week, which is Lakah, the third day, which is Nunam Nir. Alright, Tashu Nunam Nir. Well, I know we have new words for week and month, so I had to substitute an English word. There's no other way to explain it. So, but actually right now, if If you know me at all, I'm studying Arabic. It's kind of hard to study two languages at the same time, so I'm going through the same school that the master teacher put us through. And I took my Shahada, so now I'm also a Muslim, right? So, so, and I will remain a Muslim forever, but I'm also going to be other things. So, I'm a Nuwabian, so I have to be other things also. At least that's the way I feel. So this is episode 35, and with episode 35, we want to start on the topic of right? We want to learn how to build a nation. And I'm seeing out here now there's a channel called Pamus Batu, which the Sabians or Sabian runs, named Amun Numa, and I don't know. This is how I feel about it. He's talking to some Yamasi Vizier, which is a Latin word. The word for vizier in ancient Tamare was diat. Diat. But he didn't say he's a diat. He said he's a vizier. So I'm just going to hold him to being a vizier. And I don't want to sound like I'm really getting on brothers, but the brother that Amun Numa had on the show sounded ghetto. To me, he sounded ghetto. He like, yeah, I'm like, what? This fool talking like he got mud and gutter in his mouth is representing the master teacher? Nah, we must speak better than this. We have to speak better than that. We have to speak clear. We have to become a well-spoken man. He would never represent the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors, not talking like that. We get welfare, man. Welfare. Nuwabian Nation of Moors does not promote welfare or unemployment or food stamps or any of these things that keep our people down. They keep their mind engrossed in this demonic madness. We would never promote that, and neither would the master teacher. So I don't know who Amun Numa knows, but that is not good enough. That's not up to standard, brother. Maybe for the Sabians, but not for the Nuwabians. That is not up to standard. So if he didn't learn how to speak under the master teacher didn't talk like that. And the triad didn't, nah. Get your ass out of here. I'm sorry, but that's how I really feel about it. Now, let's stick to the topic here. So I got the Britannica.com, which we all know is an encyclopedia, a Caucasian encyclopedia, how they describe a nation, right? Right. The Nuwabic word is Waloi, right? Waloi is a nation. So let's read through this. Nation state politics as a body politic, I'm guessing. Nation state, a territorially bound sovereign polity. I.e. a state that is ruled in the name of a community of citizens who identify themselves as a nation. The legitimacy of a nation-state's rule over a territory and over the population inhabiting it stems from the right of a core national group within the state, which may include all or only some of its citizens, to self-determination. Now, did you hear that? Did you hear that? The way they defined it, it says the legitimacy of the nation-state rule over territory stems from the right of a core national group within the state, which may include all or some of its citizens. So it's not, so when, because there's an argument about the U.S. Constitution where it says, we the people. They're not talking about every single person in the 13 colonies back in. They're talking about those Freemasons, or majority of were Freemasons, who signed this document. Because right here it's saying which may include all or some of its citizens that belong to the core national group. Now that's interesting, right? Let's continue. Members of the core national group see the state as belonging to them and consider the approximate territory of the state to be their homeland. Accordingly, they demand that other groups, both within and outside the state, recognize and respect their control over the state. As the American sociologist Rogers Brubaker put it in Nationalism Refrain, Nationhood and National Question in the New Europe, 1996, nation states are states of and for particular nations. As a political model, the nation state fuses two principles. The principle of state sovereignty, first articulated in the Peace of Westphalia, 1648, which recognized the right of states to govern their territories without external interference, and the principle of national sovereignty, which recognized the right of national communities to govern themselves. National sovereignty, in turn, is based on the moral, philosophical principle of popular sovereignty, according to which state belongs to their peoples. The latter principle implies that legitimate rule of a state requires some sort of consent by the people. That requirement does not mean, however, that all nation states are democratic. Indeed, many authoritarian rulers have presented themselves both to the outside world of states and internally to their people under their rule, as ruling in the name of a sovereign nation. Right? So that's pretty self-explanatory, right? I mean, you do have people who have certain control of resources and over some aspects of culture for the different tribes, maybe within that nation state, and they're the ones that declare that they rule the state. You know what I mean? Nation state building, that's a subjective subject there, because there's many ways to build a state. Now, on the UNM website, we have a copy of the rights of indigenous peoples. So I know a lot of Negroes have been under the white man's boot, or the Caucasoid boot, so long, they just can't conceive of having a nation of their own, which is pretty pathetic. I'm not sympathetic toward the Negro who feels sorry for himself. I don't have any time to speak to anything like that. I'm too busy building to talk with the brother on the Moon News channel begging for welfare or enticing, I guess, Sabians to get welfare. That's no. No, that's not going to happen. Okay, so right here, right, Article 3 of the UN DRIP, Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples, Article 3, indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination. By virtue of that, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Article 4, indigenous peoples, in exercising their right to self-determination, have the right to autonomy or self-government in matters relating to the internal and local affairs, as well as ways and means for financing their autonomous functions. Article 5, indigenous people have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinct political, legal, economic, social, and cultural institutions, while retaining their right to participate fully, if they choose so, in the political, economic, social, and cultural life of the state. What does Articles 3, 4, and 5 mean to you? You really don't even need this. Once you get the strength of Anu in you and the strength of Nuwabu in you, this only states the rights that you already have. But black people don't know that they have rights. You know, and certain people don't know that they have rights. So it is spelled out in words that the layman can understand. I mean, there's nothing complex what I just read. There's nothing complex. So the reason I read that is because this goes right into a core group establishing a nation, right? Or establishing the state, right? Which is very important to understand here, right? We want to be able to understand what the master teacher put forth. This is why he put, this is actually a declaration at the time that the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors Constitution was drafted in June 26, 1992. There's a reason why the master teacher put the draft edition of the UN drip. And back then, it was probably a little harder because the UN drip was not adopted by the United States. It was actually rejected. It was actually rejected. The United States did not sign on to the UN DRIP Act until under Barack Obama, which I think was in 2013, 12 or 13. Barack Obama's the one who signed the United States into this. So, even though I'm not a big fan of Obama, I do gotta give him his props for including us indigenous peoples into this charter, this UN charter, right? So as Aniawea or Nuwabians, this is what it is. And remember that Nuwabian is not your tribe. Nuwabian is the nation state, right? And there's tribes within the nation state. You know, Yamasee, Aniawea, Blackfoot, Choctaw, and I'm sorry, why am I forgetting this one? The brothers and sisters out of Louisiana, Washita, right? So very important to learn this. Now, this episode, oh, my phone is ringing. Hold on. Okay, we're just gonna keep it moving here. Okay, so the episode 35 that we're getting into here is what it takes to build a nation. I'm not going to get deep into this, but what does it take to build a nation? Of course, you need resources. The number one thing is resources, and your number one resource is what? It's people. You know, I hear questions when people call the nation, are you guys recognized by the United States? We don't have to be recognized by the United States. I know Dr. York filed paperwork with BIA, right? But Dr. York never fully signed on because Dr. York did not want to give up the nation's sovereignty, because the nation can be considered one person if you sign contracts with the United States. So Dr. York didn't want to do that, and thank Anu that he didn't, because we would end up like one of these Asian reservations. You know, which is, I mean, they already got us on a reservation. It's called the ghetto. It's called the hood. You know, but at least you have access to major city resources. Even though it may be crumbs, you still have access to it. Them Asians down there in the reservation, they got access to nothing. They're living in squalor. You know, they're living in, most of them are living in squalor, which is not good. You know, not good. If one of the Asian tribes wants to contact United Nuwabian Nation Moors, we'd be more than happy to help out. Okay? So, now that we've said that the people are the greatest resource, what's your next greatest resource? You gotta have some land. Now, technically, it's not necessary for a nation to have land, as long as the people identify under that state. But if you want to have right to self-determination, you kind of need some land. So we're going to say land is number 2. 3 is access to water. Right? You got to have water to live, to let the people drink, and to grow crops. You know, so that's pretty important there. You know what I mean? You must have access to water. Must. Wherever you live, you got to have access to water. But really, you got to control it if you plan on building a nation. 3, you gotta have some laws, right? Gotta have some type of code of conduct what's tolerated, what's not tolerated on a national level. And then in tribes, you may have your own laws too, right? So that can get pretty complex pretty quickly if not thought out and mapped out correctly. All right, then next you gotta have a tongue. You might know that word as the French word language, right? French name language, the English word is tongue, right? And another one is union or some state of unity. blacks find it very hard to form their own nation because they don't have unity. They don't have any discipline. They just want to go and do what they want to do. And other people may do it too, but since since I come out of that camp, you know what I'm saying, I'm talking toward so-called black people. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking to. Moors too. Moors, those who identify themselves as Moors, they be doing Negro stuff too. So I'm talking to all y'all. I'm a Moor too. I'm a Nuwabian Moor though, but you guys be doing some Negro stuff, and I'm gonna expose that stuff. People pulling scams, fake teachers, fake master teachers. So, oh, look it. If you're looking at my screen right now, right? Look what Article 6 says. Look at what Article 6 says. It says, every indigenous individual has the right to a nationality. Wow, right? Now, doesn't that sound like the Moorish Science Temple? Yeah, but being American is their nationality. And then they run a corporation called the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? But we have a right to a nationality, you know? Now, there are some people in this world who do not belong to any nation. And I forgot what they call that. You're stateless. That's what they call it. You don't belong to a state. You're stateless. You're a stateless person. But you do have human rights. Just because you're a stateless person, you still have human rights. It's just you don't have the rights of any citizenry, right, to any state. So I was watching a movie on World War II where some of these Spaniards, the government said they were no longer citizens or something like that, and somehow they got caught up in Germany, and the Germans were abusing these Spanish people. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible what the Germans did. Well, what they did in this movie, it was pretty horrible, and so we definitely don't tolerate that type of behavior over here. So, you know, peace to those. If that movie, I think it was based on a true movie, you know, peace to them. Peace to, hopefully their soul can rest after going through that crap with the Germans, these Spaniards. So, but the Spaniards ain't always innocent either because they harmed us indigenous people over here. So I may renege on my previous statement, but I don't wish torture and harm on anybody, okay? That's what we want to express here as Nuwabians. All right, so we talked about unity and union. You must have that. Have to have that. That's very vital. Next, you got to have an identity. And your identity must come from your forefathers. You can't just make up your identity. You know, like I hate to say it, but how the Caucasian Jews did. They just made it up. You can't do that. That's not legitimate. And also black people making up that they're from Israel, they're the people of the book. No, like the united Israel and Christ. No. I mean, you want to be part of a book because you don't have a culture, right? And this is why the master teacher came to give us not religion. He gave us religion, and he gave us the truth about religions, right? Which was wonderful, you know, because it opened up our mind about religion. But religion is not culture. Yeah, religion's not culture. So though I applaud the brothers for doing what they do, right? So we will applaud, right? We will applaud because that's a good thing that they're doing because they're walking toward the path of truth and they know that Bible well. They know that Bible pretty well. I mean, I'm impressed. But at the end of the day, that book does not explain who your mama is, who your daddy is, who your sister is, who your aunt. That book doesn't explain that. That's where you need culture. You need a tribe, you need culture, right? So identity and culture is the same. It's synonymous with each other. So how could you have an identity but you have no culture? And your religion is not your identity, right? Because even in the Bible, there are different tribes, different bloodlines. right? And how can you prove not one brother in the United Israel, Israel United in Christ can show me through blood that he's related to the 12 tribes of Israel. Not one. I guarantee they cannot show me. Therefore, to me, it's like, believing in Mickey Mouse, right? I mean, you could study the book and on a religious level, study the book and be a zealot about it. That's cool. I can accept that. But now you're taking religion and actually going to culture. You're saying, "Oh, I'm one of the 12 tribes." No, you're not. I'm gonna tell you that you're not. But I do support the brothers and what they're doing against the Caucasian. I support in the SPLC, the racist ADL, and the racist SPLC, because those are both racist, hateful left-wing, crazy organizations, right? So we don't. They're not an authoritarian on anything. They're just a corporation that puts out some type of hate list, which they should put themselves on that hate list, right? I've already had a video about how they hate the haters, right? How you gonna fight hate with hate? Don't you get more hate? Don't you get double the hate? So these are demons. These are demons. Okay. So we've talked about identity. We also want to talk about jurisdiction, right? Jurisdiction is always a fun issue to talk about if you're into reading the law, looking at case law, and things like that, right? Jurisdiction is always a fascinating issue. So I got posed the question like last month. No, actually, my wife, when she was here, I made a comment because we were watching about Mexican immigrants and South American immigrants coming into the United States. And these immigrants are going to United States courts to try to, first of all, they're being held in detention centers and families are being separated. That's one. And then two, when they go see these judges, these magistrate judges, you got to remember, magistrate judges are there to enforce statutes and codes and statutes. So and these immigrants do not have rights of American citizens. They really don't. And that's why probably more than 90% are turned away and back to their country. Because now they would have to go to a UN court, a UN human rights court, right? Which they need to have. They need to build one right on that border between Tijuana and San Diego, right? They need to build a border. They have a UN court, not a United States court. Because you ain't gonna win in no United States court if you're an immigrant, especially if you're an immigrant who's poor, because they're looking at like you're gonna be what do they call it? A public charge. They call it a public charge, right? Like when you charge your credit card, it's a public charge if you have illegal immigrants. Like California's full of them, illegal immigrants, and that's why California's going broke. That the public has to pay for. The citizens, the tax-paying citizens have to pay for. You know what I mean? And the Caucasoid gets mad at this, but I'm like, yo ass was an immigrant. You were the first immigrants. The Irish, the English, the Spanish, all these people were immigrants. But then they get mad at you, the indigenous Asians and the indigenous Moors that come into America from I hate saying America, coming to the United States, because we're all Americans, North America and South America. It's all America. They're Americans. By technical definition, they are Americans. Now, am I saying let everybody in? No, I'm not saying that, because there's only so many resources, right? But the United States has terrorized South America and Central America. If you read a book, John Perkins, called The Confessions of an Economic Hitman, you will find out how the United States has controlled, started coups, and overthrown governments not in their favor. Kind of like the same thing they're doing now, right? Right. Okay.
So, if we drum beat, please. All right. So, if we understand that these people, well, anyway, let me not get on that rant, okay? But now we're talking about jurisdiction, and international courts are needed on that border, right? The way I see it. All right. Now, I think we kind of briefly touched over what it takes to build a nation, right? What it takes to build a nation. Inshallah. What does it take? Now, I want to move into quickly, before we end the show, quickly talking about people pulling scams, right, on nations. I'm really talking about people on Facebook, these Moors, what's the brother in Canada? There's a lot of confusion about, and this is why I stay out of a lot of conversations when it comes to people who identify themselves as Moors. Well, blacks are also Moors, they just don't know it, but hey, it is what it is. And matter of fact, shameless promotion, MelaninStudios.com and Melanin Radio is going to be coming out in February, so we got our own radio station. We got an ASCAP license, we're getting an app built right now, Melanin Radio app, and I would really like it if y'all would tune in, because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about law, we're going to talk about, we got a show called Understand the Caucasian, because we found out that a lot of black people do not understand Caucasian people, even to this day. They may want to be like them, but they don't understand them, and they don't understand their nature. Now this is pretty rampant across all ghettos, across all states, with the so-called Negro, the Moor, right? So this is very important. I think these things need to be talked about, and we're going to take the lid off this can of worms, because this is a topic that not a lot of melanated people understand. Not a lot of native people understand this. Now, Doctor, you've understood it clearly, and I understand clearly who this caucasoid is. You know, who this person is. But I don't think a lot of y'all understand what it is. I really don't. We're going to test your knowledge, okay? So, back to Scam Nations, back to Right Knowledge Radio. So, Scam Nations, I've been seeing this stuff for years, especially when I first joined the nation in 2016, right? When I seen a lot of brothers and sisters out there posing themselves as chiefs, but have nothing to offer. Oh, you can get some paperwork. Oh, the Oxacotta Nation, the dude in Canada, that's who I was talking about. The Oxacotta Nation, where he says, white power. The brothers out there saying white power. And when I confronted him on Facebook, he showed me a picture of a Ku Klux Klan rally. How messed up is your mental capacity right now? I had to look at the brother and said, you've gone nuts. You actually believe this. He actually believes. I don't believe in the color system of the United States. Anytime you identify people by their color, it's some type of racist caste system. So I don't use it at all. I don't use color at all. I might say melanated, right? I might say melanated, but I don't. I'll say, if I do say black, it's only for y'all to understand. But I'm really cutting back on that. I'm like, hey, if you don't understand, don't ask a question, then just get the heck out of here. You're on the Negro stuff, that's cool. For you, I guess that's cool. For me, that's an insult. You call me black, that's an insult. Right? Because that means I'm somebody's property. That means I'm a 14th Amendment citizen. I'm part of the organic Constitution. I'm part of the organic. I'm of the Aniwea. I'm not a black guy. I'm an Aniwea. So that's what we do. Inshallah. So, where were we, man? I'm ranting today. I haven't made a show in about 2-3 weeks. There's been a lot going on. Me and my wife got into a fight, so she left. I'm also going to talk about women. Women. Now, I don't hate my wife. I still love my wife. I just recognize that she had 2 previous marriages. This is my first marriage. And this is why this is my first marriage, because a lot of women, their mind is in Alice in Wonderland. They can't tell if the sky's blue, am I going left, am I going right? It's very chaotic when a man abuses a woman. Now, I didn't abuse my wife. I'm talking about her other 2 marriages. When a man abuses a woman, how much damage can happen to the mental and to the psychology. But actually, I want to get a psychologist on here, or a spiritual brother who preferably somebody in the Imam, but if I can't find somebody in the Imam, then I'll reach out to outside of the order. Because that's it's amazing to see. Not amazing as in, oh, that's great. It's actually amazing as how far the mind can get damaged, and it's bad. It's not great, it's bad. So let me stay on track here. So back to scams, brothers like the Oxycontin Nation. There was an Islamic brother when the fraud of sorrow was here. There was an Islamic brother who was stealing stuff from our website and putting it on his site, right? Trying to act like he was connected with the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors, in which he was not, right? And he was put on a fraud list. And we actually have a fraud list on our site here, fraud alert. And, as we discover the frauds, there's got to be a really good proof that we've had to actually have talked to some of these people who have fell victim to the fraud, right? We don't really just put, we don't do, hey, I don't like you, so we're just going to put you on. No, we got to have some evidence, right? So let me read the fraud alert here, as you can see on your screen. This is a message to all Nuwabians, or for those interested in Nuwabu and the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors, whose founding father is Malachi Zadok York El. Family, Hanuf. Each step to build a nation starts with one thought, meaning the physical and spiritual worlds must meet in harmony first before building our nation here on earth. Okay? Those who deceive will be brought to Ma'at justice. So here's a list of imposers, whether individually or by organization, will be listed here as fraudulent Nuwabian spin-off groups which have no connection to this nation and present false claims on what our founding father has conveyed to us by many videos, tapes, books, jewels, symbols, etc. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Okay. All right. So, number 1, Dusa York. Damian Pryor was his former name before he tried to act like he was a blood connection to Dr. York, right? Damian Pryor, a black devil, no blood relation to Malachi Zadok York El, now residing in Ghana, right? The young elder on YouTube spreading a message and doctrine that is not Nuwabu, thought they copy his videos, though they copy his videos to his YouTube channel. Mario Jessup, got his ex-wife to get close to the Dr. Malachi Z. York and kept him in prison while he made profits from our founder's kidnapping and extortion ordeal. A black devil, be on the alert. And then Asaru, Amun Ra El, a black German devil, a self-appointed president who fooled many while lying about projects on his personal property, which he called the nation's property fraudulently. All right, so just want to, and actually this list needs a couple more names on it. I'm going to have to talk with our brother who's the website designer, who's a citizen. So I'm glad I looked at that, because that does need updating. So this episode is pretty much done. In my notes here, I've also mentioned the Sabian Nation. Now, I don't think the Sabian Nation is fraudulent. I do think there's some truth in it. But it's blurred in with many lies and deception. And this is why I urge our members not to really get involved with that group over there. They can if they want to. It's not recommended, though. Because it seems like they're scrambling. They're not unified. They're doing Negro stuff, right? They're still doing Negro stuff, and they're still talking like Negroes, simply showing no maturity. So we stay away from them. There's good brothers over there. There's people who fell victim over there because they didn't read the original books that they should have read. But if it's Sabianism, they can say whatever Sabianism is. They can say, oh, don't read the Nuwabian books for Sabian. And that's cool. That's up to them. You know, that's their choice. Because I have some Sabian books here. And some of them are very good, whoever wrote them. I do not know that the master teacher wrote, because it just sounds so different. You know, the man, Dr. York, wrote in a certain way for over 40 years. And then all of a sudden he just sounds like a different person? That seems highly suspicious. And, you know, I'm not going to roll with that. Man, this website, I mean, my internet is going slow. So anyway, we're going to end the show right here. You know, for everybody who attended today, give yourself a loud applause. You know what I mean? We're glad you made it. Sound the alarm. We coming. This is Right Knowledge Radio. Your brother Mudhuta Hedokayu, and we'll see you next time. Wadu.